Well, two things that you touched upon, Danita. The first one was getting a leg up on academia. So Joe or Bob, whichever one of you want to discuss this point, but you mentioned in the green room about someone who might be finishing up the 6th grade, going into the 7th grade. What type of preparation would you have for them?
Well, basically, we talked about summer enrichment.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you have a kid that's going into the, let's say, 7th grade. So what we like to do is we first like to give an online assessment that supports the Delaware national standards. We focus on those previous gaps from the 6th grade. Sometimes you have to go back to the 5th and 4th grade. Mm-hmm. In addition, we also introduce new concepts for the 7th grade. So once that student or students get to the next grade level, they'll have a strong gist. They'll know how to conceptualize, and then they'll really have a strong degree of a great degree of confidence, and then they're able to ask those probing questions, those intelligent questions to the teachers based on what they learned for the summer.
Can you talk about that a little bit more, because we did talk about that earlier about how some students just don't ask questions, and it's not that they're not curious, but sometimes they just don't know enough to ask the questions. What skills do you give them to teach them how to ask questions?
Well, you first of all have to give students have to focus on the basic skills. And Bob, you can add if you wish to. Sure. You have to work on those foundational pieces, the gaps that the students were missing. You got to keep on drilling them over and over again. Then once you drill them with the basic concepts, even if it's math or reading, then you can get them ready for the actual content that they're working on. So that's what you do. The most important piece is really focusing on those basic skills. Mm-hmm. See, the key is, I was told a story once before by a parent, and I'm sure Bob was too. I had a parent that called me and said, "You know what? My daughter's doing so much better. She never asked questions in school. She always sat in the back of the classroom. Now she's sitting in the front because she had the opportunity to get, like you said earlier, the individualized tutoring. Mm-hmm. So now she's a lot more confident to ask the questions because we focus on those foundational pieces." Bob, would you like to add?
Yeah, as you said, confidence is usually 95% of the stumbling block for our students. Once they gain that confidence and can move on, it just means so much more, because if you're not confident with something, you can't learn it. Once you gain that confidence, everything runs so much smoother. So our main goal right off the bat, when we talk with the parents, we talk with the student, we want to make sure that we can increase that confidence almost immediately, because then they'll start to pick up with the skills. And usually you see that within the first month or so, the increase of confidence. And that brings up another point, is talking with the parents. We always look for parental support. And every time a student comes to us, everybody has a different background, and they all come from different walks of life. So we want to make sure that we talk with each individual parent to make sure we structure a program that's specific to them. Is a student better working right after school? Is a student better working later on in the evening? All these things come into play. When do they have dinner? Do they have any medications that they're taking that may be running off? Things like that. So we always try to work with the parents to make sure that we have a great program set up for them.
One of the things did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, if that's okay, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, one of the things parents want to know, you can have all the credentials, and Bob and I, obviously, we do have, credentials. We're both certified in the state of Delaware as teachers and also as administrators, as well as our staff. Parents want to know that you care. So that's one thing we do, is we care. We want to teach the whole child. So it's not just academics, because a kid can come in and, it's not about the academics for the first 5 or 10 minutes. That child could have had an argument with the parent, could have had, and we also know that parents or students, also parents and students, they have socio-economical issues. So our staff, we pitch in to act as mentors as well. So sometimes we have to use that piece first, to motivate our kids, and then we can get into the academics as well. So, and then of course, after we give our assessments, we make sure we set goals for our parents, and also we make sure we set expectations.
Tell me about some of the goals that you would have a parent set.
Well, basically what we do is we give a reading or math or science assessment. We find out the weaknesses and strengths, and then we talk about the content areas we need to focus on, those gaps. So we set up those goals. We may set up, let's say every 5 hours we give a test to that kid to make sure we measure that success. And we make sure they have, let's say, 90% accuracy before we move them to the next step.
Okay.
So that's the key. So basically when we set goals, it has to be realistic, meaning it has to be data driven. We look at the data, then we set the goals.
Right, something that's tangible, not just they
Absolutely.
feel like they're learning, right?
Right.
So tell me about the progress reports. Joe was telling us a little bit earlier about the interaction that Tutoring Works Plus has with the parents as far as keeping them informed as to how the child is doing. What was your experience with that?
My experience, typically when you walk in to pick up your child after the session, the staff is very warm and inviting to tell you exactly what was going on. Not only to let you know, oh, Johnny worked on math tonight, but exactly what their weaknesses were and what you can do as a parent to assist them in your own personal time. That also, to me, helps build that family bonding and to let the child know that you're very interested in their progress and what they're trying to achieve. So you get a full report of what is going on with your child every day. It also, the staff and Joe and Bob are very passionate about what they do. And that made a difference for me and my husband as we evaluated different companies on who was going to tutor our children. It was very important to know the passion about the individuals, and they challenge you as a parent as well. It's not an opportunity to drop your child off and go.
Right.
It's really an opportunity to bring everyone into the picture to ensure success of your student.
I'm curious as to what your son and daughter said to you. How did they describe their experience to you with this and the way it made them feel afterwards, or even during?
In the beginning, they went kicking and screaming, as most children do, because they feel that, oh, if I need tutoring, oh, I'm a bad student. And that is not the case at any time, because anyone can always improve, whether your child is gifted or not. With this experience, my children felt that they were more organized and that they believed what the instructor provided to them was an opportunity to understand where they were coming from. It's not just, okay, sit down and you're going to do this work and you're going to follow this. It's a team effort between the instructor and the student. They get feedback from the student and use that to assist the child in growing in their academic progress. And that was most important for my son. As I said, he's now 16, and he challenged us. He challenged his teachers and what we know. But the instructor that he worked with explained to him it's an effort from everyone. It's a collective effort. You learn together, and everyone can learn and grow. And I think that was really key for him, understanding and respecting his teachers, and respecting the instructors at the Tutoring Works, because they command that respect and they give respect back to the students. And that is a collective process, I think, for most students these days.